Welcome into Bills Tonight Digital, presented by ECMC. Maddie Glab here with former Bill Fred Jackson. Now the Bills lose this one 31-13. They fall to 5-2 on the season. A little bit of an uncharacteristic performance from the Bills defense. Now Lorenzo Alexander said going into this game, if we start the game off like we did against the Dolphins, we're going to lose. They started off decent, and then it seemed to not go so well for them in the second half defensively. Offensively, they couldn't really put it together all game. Fred, what do you take away from this one?
Sometimes there's just bad matchups for you, and today just felt like a bad matchup for the D-line and versus their O-line. They were getting, pushed out of the way, a lot of gaps that just weren't filled by the right people, and I think you just got to give credit to Philly. They came in, they had a great game plan, and they got it executed. They were able to run the ball, significantly better than they have run all year. So I think at the end of the day, you just got to give those guys credit.
Yeah, you said in the beginning of this game is going to be won in the trenches, and we see the Eagles definitely won that battle. Did you see the rain, the wind playing into this game at all?
Yeah, anytime you're playing a game like today in the weather elements like you are today, it's going to play a role in, your possessions on offense are going to be dictated by what way you're going with the wind and things like that. It's going to hinder what play calls you can make and things like that. So I think on offense, they didn't get that done today for the Bills. And, you just got to give Philly credit for being able to just run the ball down the throats of the Bills today. And sometimes it's just one of those days that you just have that you can't take things back. And that was one of those days for the Bills.
The Eagles definitely had some success in the run game. The Bills not so much. Let's hear from head coach Sean McDermott after today's game.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to your questions.
Defensively, the run game, what was the struggles in the run game today?
Yeah, they controlled the line of scrimmage. I give credit to them. They came out and established the line of scrimmage early in the game, and that carried through the rest of the game. We had a bad fit on the run after half there. You got to be able to fit it right, and you got to establish the line of scrimmage really on both sides of the ball.
Do you feel like that was a problem defensively in the first half? It seemed like that didn't really pop up.
Probably getting more than I would have liked, than we would have liked. Whether it was 4 when there should have been 2. Some of that, some tackling. To your point, it wasn't glaring, but it was there. It just give credit to them again, their offensive line.
John, do you play into the theory at all that was a very desperate team coming in here, coming off 2 bad losses and, backs to the wall, all those cliches? Do you play into that at all, that was a dangerous team you were facing today?
Well, that's not an excuse. That's not a reason for us to not come out and play fundamentally sound football and do our job. Were they in that position? Probably a better question for them. There's some urgency for sure. I understand that. But other than that, we just got to do our job better.
John, you talk about line of scrimmage, you talk about fundamentals. Is that mainly a physical thing in this case, or is there some tactics?
Well, I'd have to look at the film because sometimes technique's baked into that. I don't believe it was effort at all. Our guys play hard. They've played hard every game to this point, and they played hard, I thought, today. So we got to look at the film to see if it's technique, if it's fundamentals, sometimes both.
On the surface, it would seem the Josh fumble in the first half was kind of the turning point, I think, right?
Momentum.
Would you say momentum.
that? Yeah, before half, I think it was 7-3 at that point. And we're thinking, hey, run the ball here. We got a chance. If we get it, we'll go. If not, we'll punt it, and we turn the ball over. So we can't do that. Okay.
Strictly from a run game standpoint, Sean, you've run the ball well at times this year in key situations, but bad weather game, that sort of thing, it seemed like when you needed it today, you weren't able to get the production.
Yeah, it's you got to establish the line of scrimmage really. We came out, tried to run it early in the game there, and they were playing on our side of the line of scrimmage. Again, give them credit. We have to go back and look at it and say, did we have it dialed up the right way, and then how were our fundamentals and our technique? How was our pad level? That's what we'll learn from the film.
How concerned are you overall from a defensive standpoint right now?
Well, I'm concerned anytime a team can run the ball like that on our football team. That's concerning. Guys, all right, thanks.
The Eagles had 218 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Now this Bills defense allows an average of 91.3 rush yards a game, so definitely something that's uncharacteristic. Now the Bills offense just put up 98 rushing yards today. They're known for having a pretty good rushing offense. When you look at this game, when you were watching today from a player's perspective, Coach McDermott said it's fundamentals, it's technique. Could you key in on one thing while you were watching today with kind of what went wrong here?
Well, looking at it from a defensive standpoint, you can see on some of the big runs that guys were just out of gaps. You know, whether it was 2 guys in one gap and then there's a glaring hole, or just guys not playing off of each other like they had been week to week.
The Eagles were able to dominate there.
Yeah, you know, credit to them. You know, we played a really good defense today, a really good team. You know, and we got to come out and they punched us in the mouth, and we got to answer a little better than that. And you know, I do want to say that we didn't help ourselves most of the time. And when a team comes out and they're rolling like that, and we got to find ways to answer them. And as an offense, we didn't do that.
Your phone, you got away with one early, but the second one seemed to be a major swing.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a play that coach puts in my hands, and I got to be better with taking care of the football. And it's just one of those, you got a hat on it, and they made a play when they needed to, and that's one that shouldn't happen. That's one that's in my control that I can't let happen.
Josh, how much of a factor was the weather?
I mean, it's a factor for both sides. So I at the end of the day, it equals each other out. You know, I felt like we were still able to throw the ball, and that I don't think that really affected the play calling or anything like that. But it was tough for both sides, and that's how the game of football is, and especially how, you know, it's going to be in Buffalo at times. And yeah, so I don't think it played a huge factor for us.
Is this the worst weather you've played in?
I mean, Laramie had some tough wind in college, so but it was howling today. But like I said, that can't be an excuse for us.
You guys have put together some pretty good second halves this season where you've been able to rally. What kind of kept you guys from stringing plays together where you could finish off maybe some more drives?
You know, I think it kind of turns out back to you know, they were making some good plays on defense, but we weren't helping ourselves out. You know, whether it was penalties, pre-snap, during the whistle, or during the play. Ultimately, you know, that rests on my shoulders. So I gotta find a way to, you know, allow ourselves to get better with moving the ball and putting some more points on the board. And you know, performance like this won't cut it. You know, and we didn't play to our standard. Obviously, we played a pretty good team today, and we know that. They know that. But at the same time, we still gotta play up to how we know we can play. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That was Josh Allen there with his thoughts after today's loss. Now, the offense was 6 for 15 on third down. That's 40% that they converted. It's not a terrible stat. Now, the Eagles converted 8 of 15. That's 53%. They're known for converting quite a bit of third downs there. We saw this offense try and go for it on fourth down once. We would have loved to see that play out and be successful. They couldn't capitalize also off of that punt that was fumbled. We saw the Eagles capitalize off of fumbles that they recovered. What do you want to see more out of this offense as we are mid-season? We have yet to see some things. So what's on your list for some things that you want to see happen here?
Well, I think one of the things, obviously, is you want to see the turnovers being eliminated. You know, Josh had a big turnover today that kind of flipped the whole game. You know, going into halftime, you're up 7-3. Coach talked about it. You're in a great situation. You know, you try and move the ball down the field. If you don't do that, you know, you punt the ball and let your defense do what they've been doing all year. Turnovers is something you always want to get rid of. You talk about third down efficiency, you're talking about passing the ball, moving, all that. But the more turnovers you have in a game, the more opportunities you're taking away from yourself and giving the other team opportunities. So I think that's what you look at the most. And you allow your defense just to continue to do what it's doing. They've struggled the last 2 weeks for a little bit in some areas of the game, but they're still going to be the reason you win a lot of games.
Now, in the first 4 games, Josh Allen threw 6 interceptions. lost 2 fumbles. In the last 2, he's only thrown 1 interception, so it seems like he's progressing in the right direction. Now today, he did unfortunately lose a fumble again, so now that's 3 fumbles that he's lost on the season. Maybe a little bit of a step back there. At least he did not throw an interception today. You would like to see turnovers, interceptions, fumbles completely clear on that stat column, though.
Yeah, and that's stuff that he can all learn. They can all learn from, and it's things that he can correct. At the end of the day, though, you've got to give Philly credit for what they did. Putting him under pressure all day, being on the opposing offensive side or offensive line of scrimmage, makes it tough for anybody to create plays down the field, and that's exactly what happened. And that he's saying he doesn't want to use the weather as an excuse, but it plays into the game. It's a factor in the game, and the play calling. You can't run normal plays that you would want to play or want to run, and to be able to have that and getting sacked and causing fumbles, combined with each other, makes it hard for any offense to put up points.
And this Eagles defense wasn't completely healthy either. I mean, you had some tackles who aren't normally used to playing the snaps that they played today, as well as people in the secondary. Trey White was in the locker room after the game. Let's hear his thoughts.
You guys have a standard on defense, and you didn't really reach it today because they came out and took it to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hats off to those guys. They had a great plan. They was able to attack us, and we didn't see that coming. So we just got to go back to the drawing board on tomorrow and put this to bed and get on to the rest of it.
How was the weather a factor with anything today?
I don't think it was. We practiced in it all week, and this is where we pretty much be all year. So we're pretty much used to it. But I don't think it was a bigger factor. It was all about us and what we didn't do today.
Trey, how do you balance learning from a loss like this, but also moving on?
I mean, you just gotta take the coaching and look at the film and just be honest with ourselves, and then we go on to the Redskins. And I feel like the locker room that we have, we got a great group of guys that are willing to when our backs against the wall, we know how to respond.
How tough is it to see them score late in the first half and score early in the first half? How big a punch in the gut is that?
Oh, it's huge. Anytime a team is able to score on you, it's a big deal, and we pride ourselves on not letting these guys get into the end zone, and they did a good job of getting to the end zone quite a few times.
The red zone defense continues to struggle. Why is that?
I got to look at the film. We go and look at the film and see exactly what they did do to us, and we'll try to get it corrected.
What's the mood in this room? It's the first game you guys really weren't even close into, a little different feeling for the first time this season.
I mean, it's the same. After a loss is a loss, no matter how big of it is. We didn't get the job done today, so I feel like we'll get back to the drawing board on tomorrow and get on to the Redskins.
Thanks, Trey.
Trey White being asked about the red zone defense struggling. 31 points out of the Eagles today. This is something you usually don't see from the Bills defense. They average allowing 15.2 points per game. This is the 3rd ranked defense in the league coming into this game. So definitely an uncharacteristic performance. I think even more so than what we saw out of them against the Dolphins last week.
Yeah, and we know that. They know that, and he said it. They got to go look at film, make the corrections, be tough on yourself. See what it is that you as an individual can do better as a player, and then, as a team, take the punch in the mouth, come back, recoup, and that's it. Just know that it's one game. You got another game next week to kind of redeem yourself. And I think as long as the guys continue to do that, they've been a resilient group all year, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, Leslie Frazier is a great defensive coordinator. This defense is very talented, so you're going to see them come back after a performance like this.
Without a doubt. Those guys, like I've said, they've been resilient all year, been put in tough situations. This is just another situation that they'll have to learn from, recover from, and continue to play the rest of the year.
Well, let's look back at some of these highlights from today's game. A wet and windy New Era field to start the game. Eagles were up 3-0 early in the second. Josh Allen steps up and hits Cole Beasley for the 14-yard touchdown. The Bills take the 7-3 lead. Brandon Graham here with the strip sack of Josh Allen. He recovers to set the Eagles up in Bills territory late in the half. Carson Wentz over to Dallas Goedert for the 6-yard touchdown. A 2-point conversion puts the Eagles up 11-7 at the break. Second play of the second half, Miles Sanders breaks free for a 65-yard touchdown run. They would try and go for the extra point. It's no good. 17-7 Eagles are still leading at this point. Josh Allen with the screen pass over to Devin Singletary. It's going to be a 28-yard touchdown. The extra point is blocked. 17-13 Eagles at this point. The Eagles come right back. Boston Scott plows in for the 4-yard touchdown, 24-13 Philly. And then it's Jordan Howard with the 3-yard touchdown, 31-13 Eagles. And that would be the final score of the game. Josh Allen, you see that 47% completion percentage, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, 81.6 rating. He also had 45 yards on the ground. John Brown, 54 receiving yards, and Matt Milano had 13 tackles and 3 TFLs. The 47 completion percentage, something that you don't like to see out of this quarterback, especially Josh Allen, who is trending in definitely the right direction from last year to this year in his completion percentage. And in this game, you probably would have wanted him to see them go to the ground a little bit more than they did. You see 34 times they went to the air, and it was the wind was favoring them in the second half. In the first half, they were going against the wind. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think they're doing what they want to. They want Josh to carry this team. They want his arm and his ability to have the ball in his hands to lead this team, and that's exactly what they were trying to get accomplished. They didn't want the weather to make an excuse for them. You know, they wanted to continue to try and do whatever it was that they wanted to do. And for whatever reason, you know, Philly, whatever it is that they're doing, you know, not getting the plays done on offense that they were trying to get accomplished, it just didn't work out for them today. And at the end of the day, you look at yourself on film, you know, you figure out what it is you could have done better, and then you just move on. This is a tough loss, you know, but it's hard to win in this league, and Coach says that every week, you know, and this one, you didn't get the job done, but it's not the end of your season. You're 5-2 right now. That's something you like being in that position, and you just can continue to work and continue to try and get better as a team.
Frank Gore, somebody who's a solid presence in this locker room. There's some rookies that are definitely going to lean on him after this loss. Let's hear what he had to say in the locker room.
You know, it was tough. It sucked, but you know, it's football. You know, they made plays, we made plays, and you know, they made more plays than us today. But you know, as a team, we just got to learn from this game. You know, get ready. You know, watch film tomorrow and learn from our mistakes and move on. So it's NFL ball, man. You know, you got to be ready to play every week. You know, they came out and played a good game. You know, we made mistakes. You know, we can't beat ourselves. You know,
the only other loss this season was obviously a close one to the Patriots. You know, this is the first time you guys have gotten beat down pretty good. Get the adversity.
We'll be fine.
As veterans,
We'll be
you
fine.
guys got a good veteran group.
You know, great guys in this locker room. Great coaches. Like I said, we're gonna watch this film, learn from all our mistakes, and Wednesday have a great practice.
Frank, no touches in the first half for Devin. We see in the third quarter what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands. What can be done to maybe get this guy a little bit more involved?
We gotta just do whatever our coach say. Whatever his number get called, you know, he got to do something with it, like he did today. Whatever our coach say, we got to do.
Do you think should that number be being called more?
Well, that's on the coaches. You know, the coaches made that decision. I'm not the coach.
When you guys started to get a little bit of rhythm there in the second half, you had a couple runs that ended up going for like 14 yards or so, and went back to the pass, and then ended up in a punt.
It was the game. You got to look at the game. You know, we had to do that. We was down, I think, about two touchdowns. So we had to try to score quick. That's what it was.
That sequence, though, it was tough going for you in the first half, but then you know, in that third quarter there, on those 2 runs Josh just referenced, you get 14 yards. Did you feel like you were getting something going?
I feel like, you know, whenever my number get called, I'm going to try to make the best of it. And, you know, our O-line did a great job on the players, and I did. So whenever my coaches call my name, my number, I'm going to do my best for my teammates.
Sooner or later, those turnovers were going to come back and really hurt you guys in the game.
It did today. But, you know, like I say, we'll look at the film tomorrow, learn from our mistakes, and get ready for Wednesday practice and have a great practice.
Frank Gore saying this team can learn from their mistakes, saying he's not too worried about it because they've got a good group of guys in this locker room. 2 losses on the season. You want to see them win this game, of course, but they're not in the worst position.
Yeah, and that's just it. And you listen to everybody talking. We're going to go in, look at film, see what it is we can get better at, and learn from our mistakes, because you're 5-2 at this point in the season right now. It's not a time to panic. It's a time to just learn and figure out what it is you can do better as an offensive unit, as a defensive unit. And when you face a team like Philly, who's a good team, you're not playing against slouches week in and week out. You're playing against teams that are in the National Football League. Every week's going to be tough for you. You saw last week against Miami. Miami came out and, punched them in the mouth. They just recouped from it and continue to fight the game. And that's all you got to do now. It's a tough loss, but it's just one loss. It's not the end of the season. You continue to do what you've been doing. Continue to be resilient like you've been all year. And lean back on the coaching, your teammates, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, the Eagles were coming off back-to-back losses in this game, so they were angry and hungry for a win. Doug Peterson said, "I like an angry team because that means they are a dangerous team." Now, we're going up against the Redskins next week, so what's at the top of your list with what these Bills need to do going into next week's game? Obviously, you want to probably see them have a little bit more success run defense-wise.
Yeah. I'm a running back, so for me, I want to see them running the ball more on the offensive side of the ball. Turn around, hand it to Frank Gore, hand it to Singletary as many times as you can, and take some of that pressure off of Josh. And as the opposing, you want to see the defense get back to doing what they do best. Averaging 91 yards a game, and then you give up over 200 this week. That's something that's going to make it hard to beat any team you play against in the NFL. So they'll get that taken care of, I'm sure. And Frank and Devin and those guys will be ready to, carry the load and take some of that pressure off of Josh. And it'll be fun to see what they do next week.
Yeah, this team's definitely going to go to work hard this week, that's for sure. Hey, come back at 11:30 on MSG. We're going to have more highlights, more post-game sound, more analysis. For Fred Jackson, I'm Maddie Glab. Thanks for tuning in on Bills Tonight Digital.